So this is lesson number 68, Scientific Calculator, Scientific Notation, Powers, and Roots for Algebra 2. And we're not going to do any estimating or approximating. We're just going to kind of go over some basics with the Scientific Calculator. Might have already used this enough that you're okay with it. But when you are given things like example 68.1. So let's look at how we would do that with a calculator. Okay, so there's the problem there. And let's just kind of with my little red mouse show you what buttons to push. We're going to go 40,652, so obviously 40,652. And we're going to click this button to make it negative. Okay? And then once we do that, on this particular calculator, it has an EE button, which is scientific notation for this calculator, but some of your calculators may have a button like that. So what you do is you either click your EE button or you click your times 10 and then you put in your -8. And that would be the number that shows up there. Some calculators may have something that looks like a 10 to the x power. So then when you push that button, then you can push your -8 here and it will go in the x's place. And then you make sure, I guess I should have said you put it in a parenthesis first. Alright, and then you divide it by this parenthesis. Alright, so I'm not really sure why this lesson is going into this, because every calculator is different. So you're going to come up with a different way to do it. But I guess if anything else, it at least tells you that there is a way to do this. Now, when you are doing things with powers and roots, such as if you had to evaluate 3.28, and that's the root, to 50.42. See, normally if we have the square root of 32, you just punch in 32 and then you hit your square root key. But when you're given something like that, the square root key, this has a 2 as an index and this has a 3.28. So how in the world do you put a 3.28 in there for your root? Well, some calculators that are decent will have a button. If I can get this thing to erase, which I probably am not going to be able to do. Yeah, it erases the whole thing. Alright, so it will have a key that looks like this. And there will be an X there. So what you'll do is, depending on the calculator, on which number you put in there first, some calculators you put in this, then push that key, and then put that in. That's probably the majority of the calculators will do that. Okay, so the next part is, what do you do if you get a number like 9.26 to the 4.58 power? Okay, that's where this button right here comes in. So you put in your 9.26, you push this button, and then you put in your 4.58, and then you hit your equal sign. That's pretty much it to this lesson. I'm sure you're probably pretty much familiar with your calculator, that you can work it out. But what I would do is I would practice using your calculator on these examples that they gave you, like at the bottom of 288 where they give you 68.3 and 68.4. Try those until you get the answer that they got, and then at least you'll know which buttons to push in order to figure it out. Alright, so that's it for lesson 68.